Hi there, welcome to First Taste. I'm Mitto.
I'm Chris.
I didn't warn you about that. I was going to do it differently. And this is First Taste, the album listening show where we finally listen to an album that's not an hour long. I'm so happy.
This hasn't happened ever, I don't
No.
think.
So today we are listening to Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds' new album, Skeleton Tree. Skeleton Tree?
Skeleton Tree.
Skeleton Tree. Nick Cave is a seminal Australian music writer. Musician, I believe is the word.
He's a music publicist.
Publicist? He's been writing music since, I think the 70s or the 80s.
Really long time ago, yeah.
I have listened to precisely 0 of his discography.
It could be likened to blasphemy. Should it be okay that I haven't listened to Nick Cave?
Yeah, it's just one of those things for seemingly both of us that just is kind of, he's gone under the radar for
I don't know
music
why.
taste.
I think I'm intimidated by how expansive.
Vast
This is his
discography.
16th album.
Yeah.
So maybe that's why.
This is getting some really good reviews.
Mm-hmm.
It's meant to be one of his better albums, so I think it's a perfect place to start. We're diving in head first.
Yeah, this is going to be... Well, I'm going to try immerse myself in this experience.
Mm-hmm. And actually, it was the Pitchfork review that said something really interesting. It said that Nick Cave has always been referring to death. Like, his albums have always been about death, but now he's facing it head on because during the recording of this album, his 15-year-old son died.
Yeah, really sad story, man. That's so bad.
Most of the writing and stuff was done with the album, but they were midway through recording, so
I think within 2 weeks...
It's going to be heavy.
Yeah, and within 2 weeks of Arthur's death, they had to review all the tracks and everything. They had to go back and listen to it all.
Surely that's going to be impacting...
Grueling, man. That's terrible. I am one to believe that tragedy can evoke some of the best art.
Absolutely. And totally.
You needn't look any further than, for me, Björk's album last year, Volnikura.
Yes, yeah, definitely.
Obviously
that was after a divorce.
Yeah, so brutal.
Yeah.
And then even just earlier this year with Black Star.
With Bowie,
The guy conceptualized his own death.
So it's going to be difficult listening to this album, I think, but I think I'm ready.
I think so too.
We've got some help.
Something to get us through. Nick Cave did, I believe he did the song for one of the Barossa Valley ad campaigns. Yeah, so I picked a wine from South Australia.
Oh, there we go. Okay,
because I'm so knowledgeable.
We're just thinking that a good red ages well, and that's exactly what Nick Cave has done.
Yeah, that's
As he's gotten older, he has gracefully aged.
Yep.
Matured like a red wine.
Mm-hmm. Here we go.
Let's do this. I'm just gonna.
Woo! It's gonna be brutal.
You fell from the sky and crash landed in a field near the River Avon.
Oh, jeez.
Straight in.
But because his son fell off a cliff.
Yeah.
Sprang from the ground.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
I thought he wrote this album before.
Beneath the bridge,
I mean, he could have just added everything.
Gone back, yeah, maybe.
twigs and clay.
Oh,
First lyric on the album, eh?
yeah. I mean, it has to be.
Had to be.
Flickering in the gloom.
Oh, his voice is beautiful.
So nice, eh?
Ah, it's very interesting. He's taking a very forward approach with the lyrics and vocal. Obviously, it's spoken.
Yeah.
Basically, it's poetry more than music.
I was literally about to say it's poetry. Yeah.
You could almost not even have the music in the background. I'm not saying it's pointless. It's definitely adding to the mood and the atmosphere, but. I mean, the focus here is definitely...
It's just, make no mistake,
poetry.
It's the lyrics and the poetry,
Yeah.
Really nice sonically, though, far out. I don't know if brooding is the right word, but it's just, it feels massive, but it's just so pulled back. Good opener, though.
Yeah, strong. Confronting. There's almost a sense of... Oh, cool. There's almost a sense of... I don't want to say laziness, but he's not trying to hide what he's saying with fancy melodies.
Exactly, yeah.
He's really trying to present it how it is.
He wants it to be clear. They're not dry vocals, but there aren't many effects on his vocals at all. But there's next to no reverb on that, for example. Yeah,
exactly,
it's right there, right in your face. It's quickly becoming evident that, purely on a lyrical basis, this is going to be next to impossible to, completely analyze on first listen.
Totally.
You can tell, his prowess is there.
I really like his voice there. The scratchiness. he seems to have a lot of control over his voice. Like already we've gotten 3 different sounds of his voice.
The technical aspect of his voice is
Incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, really.
But like the wear and tear is there as well. You can hear the
You can
age.
hear the age in it. Yeah,
It's
definitely.
like the wine.
It's yeah. Oh,
You can hear it in his voice too. It sounds like
he's
he's
about
burst
to
into
cry.
tears. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm.
If there was any ambiguity in the previous track, there's none in this one.
I'm really confused. I mean, maybe it's just because he's always kind of sung about death and that's sort of very natural for him to be singing about this, but it seems like it's so overtly about his son's death, which...
Yeah.
But the album was already written...
Yeah, it's like he wouldn't have just changed the album's direction after that happened. It's just
I guess
crazy.
maybe everything just became a bit more real for him.
Yeah.
Because it was during recording, and maybe he's just re-recorded everything in the context of it, and suddenly, like, he can sing it with so much more conviction because it sounds like he's crying.
Yeah,
like
pretty much.
there's so much emotion in his voice.
It's not uncommon to do vocals last in a project, though. Maybe it's one of those
Okay.
instances. Maybe all the instrumentals were there.
And you know what? All the production would have been afterwards as well.
Yeah.
So, like, the sounds that we're getting, that's all in the context of it as well.
100%. There's the first bit of reverb, I think, so far. Yeah.
And because he's singing "Don't Touch Me,"
Yeah.
it's kind of that sense
Distant,
of
yeah.
disconnect. It's so sparse.
It really is.
The music is just
so much space.
there's a very slow piano.
Yeah.
There's very slow strumming,
Oh.
and then there's just some synth noise in the background.
This track is basically him waking up at like 2 a.m.
Yeah.
Just like hunched over his piano, I reckon.
But it's not boring in any way.
No, it's captivating.
We're very lucky to be able to experience this album like this. Just because like he deserves your utmost
That's right.
attention. We're doing a disservice by talking about it even like
The ideal episode for Skeleton Tree is just us shutting up. I was going to say, we were talking about how sparse the album has been. Very much so on percussion. There's been like no percussion.
But there was there.
That's what I mean. This is now like maybe a turning point.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's frantic.
It's totally, but it's not like making the song fast tempoed
No.
or anything. It's really interesting actually.
Yeah, it's not carrying the song.
I think the comparison to Bowie was really interesting. Like in his voice, you can hear it. You listen to Black Star and you can hear that he's on his deathbed.
Yeah, it's...
You can just hear the raw emotion that's in Nick Cave's voice,
Yeah.
just like you can in Black Star. I think that's my. I think
I
that's
don't think that was a
playing
production
up.
choice.
No.
Speaking of the production, though, it's been great.
Yeah.
That was one of the lead-ins I had, was the tie with Warren Ellis. That guy's a genius.
yeah.
They're very close
They're
friends,
partners,
first of
yeah.
all. Yeah.
Partners like
In
like musical
crime,
partners,
yeah, so to speak. Not to discredit the other members of Dirty Three, but Warren is a genius. So you can hear his influence on the
Okay,
production.
sure.
Yeah. I really like this song so far.
Good on Nick Cave for being able to like transfer his emotion, like which is such a personal thing that's happened to him, and give it to the world.
We're fairly removed now from when it all happened.
But he
There
wasn't
were
at
a
the
lot of-
time.
No, but I mean, like, there was a lot in the press.
Yeah.
The last thing he would have wanted to do was
Get back in the studio
fully, like,
and work. Do his job.
yeah, this is where he's lost it the most in this song. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Okay.
his voice was, like, really steadfast the entire time and has been steadfast since the beginning of the album. And then this one is, like, wavering. You can hear it in his voice.
I don't know if he has been steadfast the entire time.
Yeah, I reckon.
There is that. It's a whimper in
Yeah,
his
exactly,
voice in
yeah.
this song. He hasn't felt solid the entire time. There's definitely been times throughout the album that I've just felt like he's about to break down.
It's like, yeah, it's been
Like,
excruciating for sure.
The entire time, it just feels like he's only barely holding it together.
Yeah.
There's something really like in the back there
Yeah.
that's like quite happy.
Yeah.
It was nice.
It almost works as like a shoulder for him to cry on. There's like the slightest bit of optimism in there, kind of thing.
I thought he was being the poet, and look at you.
Mate, I can turn it on.
Just breathe, just breathe.
He's unraveling in this though, him personally.
Oh,
yeah.
jeez.
Yeah.
Oh, we're singing Just Breathe, and like, you
Yeah.
can just picture what's happening.
Yeah.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
far out. Credit to the album because it is so moving. It's really making you feel that emotion.
I think this might be the first optimistic song on the album.
You think so?
It's a hard call to make, but
Would you call this optimistic?
not yet, but
Oh. He's really pushing his range, isn't he?
yeah.
That is gorgeous.
Yep.
And set up for the distant skies, is it something about like ascending to heaven, or
Yeah.
the transition between the voices is just
Yeah.
perfect. This is, I would say, by far my favorite song
Yeah.
on the album. The emotion in it was so much heavier than anything else on the album, and that is saying a lot.
Yeah. It's safe to say it's the most up-tempo, I think.
Well, as opposed to that song earlier that
Yeah.
had the percussion that wasn't really doing much for it.
Yeah.
Like, it was frantic percussion, but
It wasn't adhering to...
the
The
rest of
tempo
the
really,
song,
yeah.
This is the opposite. It's
Yeah.
it's pushing it.
Yeah.
And there's also a guitar melody in there.
Acoustic guitar,
Yeah, the acoustic
exactly.
guitar that's pushing it forward as well.
Mhm.
Actually, that piano melody is really beautiful.
Mm-hmm. Really simple, but really effective.
Yeah. That's the album in a nutshell.
Yeah, definitely.
That's been a theme of so much of the year. These artists who are just creating such minimal, like they're really
Yeah.
pulling themselves back. I feel like Radiohead did that. Frank Ocean has just done that, and now we've got Nick Cave as well. This is the most sparse album that I've heard all year.
It's so clear complexity is the furthest thing from his mind. It's like raw emotion, but complex lyrics, yeah.
Oh, I can't believe that's the end. I can't believe he ended on "It's all right now," like a
Yeah.
refrain.
I was talking at the beginning about how I like to go back and investigate the lyrics a bit more and stuff, and sure I would, but you need to brace yourself for an album like that, hey?
Yeah, it's not an album that I will be listening to a lot in the future.
Well, it's just so solemn and, you know...
Yeah. You need to be in a certain frame of mind.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. It was beautiful. Like, it's very cathartic for him, I'm sure.
It's hard to know, like, how much of an influence it had on the album. It's so obvious that it has had an influence. But no matter the case, and as big a tragedy as it is, it made the album better.
Yeah.
I think the comparison to Bowie is really apt. Black Star is one of my favorite albums of the year. I've only listened to it a couple of times. I think it's fantastic, but this is the complete opposite approach of what Bowie did on Black Star. Black Star felt, I don't know, in ways a celebration. Not a celebration, but he was embracing
Yeah, yeah.
death. I just don't know what to say about it. Like, you definitely have to be in the correct mindset to listen to it. It's a beautiful confrontation of death. There's nothing to say.
It's
There's
hard-
nothing
it's
you
hard
can
to put
absolutely
words
say
together.
about this. It's almost ruined my day.
Yeah, like, I'm going home and sleeping and crying.
I'm really thankful for Nick Cave, because, like, the last thing you want to do when that sort of thing happens is go back into the studio, go back to work.
Yeah, could you imagine?
So I'm really thankful for the existence of this album.
Yeah.
Oh man, I'm feeling so empty.
Again,
And
that's...
it does not make good content.
And, like, that's it. Like, we can't make this entertaining. It's just...
No.
It's
Sorry for the most depressing video that you will watch.
easily the most depressing. But, I mean, we'll try liven it up a bit next time.
It's a good album. Thank you for watching. Sorry for putting a downer on your day.
Thank you for joining us on the journey.
On the bright side, I'm going to be releasing hopefully one of these first taste videos every week for the next month. So I'll see you next week.
Yay, music.
Thank you so much for joining me, Chris.
No worries. Thank you, Mitto.
See you later, guys. Oh my goodness.
Oh
my goodness.
I need to go listen to something absurdly happy now.
Yeah.